Hey guys, it's me again. Now, the Game Boy is without a doubt one of the absolute classic systems of all time. It's when Nintendo launched. It was Nintendo's first handheld console, but that came with a limitation. The screen wasn't backlit, and it was all just four shades of gray under a green tent. And at night, you basically had to find a light source to keep playing. But finally in 1998, everyone's prayers were answered when Nintendo released the Game Boy Color. It was basically a Game Boy, but now in color. And taking a look at the box, the Game Boy Color promises more portable, color, and fun. And when you take a look at it, the Game Boy Color was smaller than your typical game. And first from history, the Game Boy Color was announced due to developer pressure from a lot of people who felt that the Game Boy, and even its predecessor, the Game Boy Pocket, which was released before the Game Boy Color, wasn't really that sophisticated. Plus, everyone wanted a color scheme Game Boy, and Nintendo was quick to respond with the Game Boy Color. And there are actually five color variants of the Game Boy Color. The one I have here is for grape, no duh, but it also declared by the color scheme under the Game Boy screen: red, purple, green, yellow, and blue, or light blue. And it was pretty self-explanatory to turn on. You just flip this switch right here. And its layout is pretty similar to the original Game Boy. You know, the D-pad, the A&B button, start, select, that sort of thing. The back of the system features the cartridge slot where you insert your games, and the battery compartment, which only needs 2 AA batteries instead of 4. On the left side of the system, you have the external port and the volume control. It'll connect with either the Game Boy or the Game Boy Pocket. It doesn't really matter. Now, when you play a normal Game Boy game such as this one here on an original Game Boy, the colors, well, don't expect much. And once again, they decided not to go with a backlit screen. How disappointing. But the colors aren't really that pleasant. There are, however, according to the manual, you can press a color button combination during startup to change the color palette. For example, let me show you. You turn it on and press the power button combination on startup, and it'll change the color like that. And there were also a few games specifically designed for the Game Boy Color. These games came in special black cases, and they basically had colors specifically for the Game Boy Color. And they came on like I said, they came on special black cartridges. But there were a few games that were exclusive to the Game Boy Color, such as this one shown here. They came in special transparent shells. And they say, this game pack is for the Game Boy Color system only, which means they are not compatible with the Game Boy or the Game Boy Pocket. But the 3 launch titles for the Game Boy Color were Tetris Deluxe, Wario Land 2, and Pocket Bomberman. And they showed off the capabilities of the Game Boy Color. And when you press the color combination, it gets pretty detailed. And the good news is, it'll play every Game Boy game, and it'll especially play these special cartridges. And of course, they will play this too. And a word of caution, if you try to open this thing to see if there's damage with the battery still in, it could potentially fry your system. It also needs only 2 AA batteries to work. So, you will notice that there's this little part right here. Well, the problem is they have to face each other when you're using an external link in order to fully enjoy which is kind of an issue since if you make a wrong move, it could potentially interrupt the signal. But the good news is, it'll play everything. But if you thought playing Game Boy games in color ended here, well, think again. Because after the Game Boy Color, there were a lot of other Game Boys that could play in color, like the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Micro, and everything. Okay. And today, if you want to start collecting, the Game Boy Color is easy to start collecting. It's rather common and inexpensive, and as are most of the games. That's all for this quick episode. Thanks for watching.